I'm sorry, I always run long. Some of my college speeches are like 3 hours, and people say they like them, so I just never know when to stop. I'm sorry.
It was fantastic. Okay, so I think you covered a lot of this in your speech, but why is free speech important to you, and why did you fly all the way from America?
In coach, in economy. Look, it's the underpinning principle of our civilization. Without being able to discuss values and ideas, you can't organize yourself, the state, like the press, nothing. And I just watched as the reality that I know to be true and the reality that's described on newspapers and in newspapers on the TV have just diverged like wildly, and it's happened within the last decade. And if I can do something to help with that, then I think I'd like to.
This is almost a stupid question. What have your experiences been with Antifa and people shutting your free speech down? Other than, the obvious, like, people stopping your speeches at college campuses, have you had any, like, run-ins with the law, family, friends? Like, what have your experiences been of that?
Well, law enforcement are fans of mine, like the armed forces are, but it's difficult for me now in most major American cities to just go out for brunch. I get chased out of places.
Oh, yeah, what happened with that?
Yeah, I get chased out of places, called a Nazi just for being, like, in a group of gay guys who just want to go for brunch. It's kind of wild, and it's wild because the media's allowed certain individuals to be described as white nationalists, Nazis, or they've been active participants in that, and it's the most insane thing. I'm in bed, like, with my black husband, and I'm showing him I'm showing him these headlines, and I'm saying, look at this, baby, and he's like, oh my God. It's funny to us, but it also has made my life very expensive and very complicated.
Right, yesterday, this might be the best story ever. I was out shopping for a dress for tonight, and I see this pro-Palestine protest, so I run off and go over. I end up speaking to this anarchist, and he calls Tommy Robinson a neo-Nazi. I say, what do you think of Milo? I said, do you think he's racist? He said, yeah. I said, do you think he hates black people? He said, yeah. I said, but his husband's black. He said, yeah, I know. I said, so if he's having sex with a black man, how can he hate them? And he said, you don't have to be, you can still be racist and have sex and date a person of that race. So you still hate black people.
If it doesn't persuade you that I'm not a racist, given that I not just have married and have sex with, but love a black man. Like, if I can give my heart to somebody, if I can spend my life and like cherish and revere and honor and love somebody of a different race, if that doesn't persuade you that I'm not a racist, nothing will, so I give up, so go fuck yourself. I'm not interested. I'm not interested.
I couldn't cope after that.
If that doesn't persuade you, there's no point wasting my time on you.
No, I kind of gave up on him after that. So, obviously, we're having events like this now. I think how many people were here? Like 30,000?
I don't even know. It was amazing. I didn't realize Britain had it in her.
No, neither did I, but I'm proud of us. We've done well. Where do you see, like, the future going for this country? You think it's positive, negative? I'm hoping you're going to say positive.
Yeah, well, hope away, because I think it's basically fucked. But if we can
at least you try it.
If we can arrest the decline a bit, at least that'd be something. I don't know. I mean, stuff like this, makes me hopeful, or at least makes me happy that there's a rump of people who get it. But is it going to make a difference to the way that the BBC reports? Is it going to make a difference to the way that we're governed? Is it going to make a difference to anything, really? I mean, I hope so. We can only hope. I think that big protests like this and kind of mass civil disobedience is the only way now, because reason and logic and politeness have failed.
How would you contrast it with America? I mean, I'm hearing Americans say, I've never been to America, I don't really know any Americans. Obviously, they've got the amendments that protect them, but I'm hearing that that's not even putting it recently. Like, how do you...
In America, it's private companies who are doing the bad stuff. So in America, it's like major corporations and Twitter and other Americans censoring each other, and the press and all the rest of it. So it's not the government doing it. It's a different problem. Here, it's, the government's putting people in prison for being offensive on the internet, for mean words on the internet. You don't get that in America, but, some of what you get is arguably just as bad. And it's certainly on a larger scale, and it's certainly much crazier. There's a deeply entrenched, fringe on the left in America, which is growing, and it's radical, and it believes completely insane things, and they seem to have occupied all the positions of power in civil society, and that's very scary.
It's interesting what you say about the police, because I've been having a lot of problems with the police recently. Not because I've done anything
so
wrong.
Lovely. Look at you. I can't imagine you having.
So cute looking.
I know.
Exactly.
I can't imagine you getting in trouble for anything.
Essentially, well,
it's like boys,
I was
maybe.
getting death threats off Islamists. They were saying, "Oh, I'm going to fucking kill you when I find you and rape your dead body."
Yes.
So I was like, "Okay, I'm going to go to the police." So I did, and they said, "Yeah, we're not going to help you because you're inciting racial hatred." And they basically said that they could arrest me because I'm committing a criminal offence. Yes, inciting racial hatred. I was like, I've dated Asian girls. They were like, still inciting racial hatred. And they've just refused to help me.
Well,
there's a consequence.
There's a reason that one particular religion sort of was hanging heavy in the air today, and as so many of the speakers mentioned it, and it's because people do have discerned that there seems to be a double standard.
Yeah.
There seems to be an exception made for one particular religion, and nobody can really work out why, because it's the worst one of all. It's the one that it's the one that nobody, no rational person, nobody who cares about women or minorities or people who are both, could possibly defend.
They don't even hide it anymore. Like, I went into the police station when I was trying to follow all this stuff up, and it wasn't a police officer, but it was like a desk sergeant, and he went, "Oh well, you could have avoided this, but I'm not criticising certain religions." So I got triggered, and I just got triggered, and I just went off on one. And I said, "Would you say that to me if I said these things about Christianity?" He went, "No, of course not. You've got freedom of speech." I was like, "Oh my God."
Well, it gives you as much as I love the police who are like on the beat out there doing things. Some of the people who work in in the more desk jobs, certainly some of the people who work in like the CPS, and a lot of the people in the higher ranks of the police forces, because they're political appointees, are not good news. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It was lovely speaking to you. I'll see you later anyway.
We will make America great again.